Daniela, do you want to start the poll before we kick everything off in high gear?
Absolutely. I'll launch it now. Everyone, please respond.
All right, so welcome to the webinar. And before we get started, we just want to ask you all a few questions. So if you can please participate in this poll, it would be really, really helpful in facilitating our discussion today with Richard Kroon, product owner of Rabobank. So Rabobank. So let's go ahead and go through these questions here. Oh, I like this first one. How do you prefer your pizza? That's interesting. No pineapple for me.
No. Okay,
Me
the
neither.
webinar is over. Thank you, everyone.
Good night.
No pineapple.
Richard, what about you? Do you like pineapple?
Yeah, let's do the pineapple. Yeah.
Yay.
Nice.
Same here.
I'm the only
Before
one.
the Hawaiian.
But on pizza?
Yeah.
This has been a trending topic for a VCDX mentoring series webinar. We had the same question and with pineapple narrowly won, but it doesn't look good for me today so far.
And while you're having a philosophical discussion with yourself on whether or not you like or don't like pineapple on pizza, we've got other questions too, right? So we also would like to know your current level of support. Obviously, if you're currently using Skyline, we'd like to know if you've acted on any of Skyline's proactive findings. We definitely would be interested to find out what your favorite Skyline features are. We've got some new ones that we can share with you today as well. We'd also like to get some insight and some feedback in terms of what you would like to see in the future in terms of other webinar topics. A lot of great information here. So if you all can take the time to fill that survey out, it would be really, really helpful. And Daniela, whenever you're ready to shut it down and read the results.
Perfect. I will end it in 5 seconds in case someone is at the last question. Yes.
Oh, 3, 2.
Yeah. Happy New Year. Okay, I've just ended the poll, sharing the results now. Thank you everyone for completing the poll. Well, sadly, the majority prefers their pizza with no pineapple. Support level, well, we have almost all of them, and production is the winner and the leader here. Almost everyone is using Skyline, good, and the ones who aren't hopefully will change their minds after today. Most of them have acted on the proactive findings and recommendations that Skyline offers. And Skyline features, I love this one. It seems that Insight Reports is the big winner, yes, today. Okay. But we do have an operational summary dashboard as well and upgrade recommendations. And the favorite Skyline webinar topics, wow, the big one is tips and tricks, but they do enjoy tutorials, integrations, and spotlights. So yeah, that's great because today we have a great customer spotlight. That's all, Kelsey. The floor is yours.
All right, let's go ahead and do it. So, all right, so again, hello everyone. I'm Kelsey Lemon, Senior Technical Marketing Manager here at VMware, and I'm really excited about today's webinar, right? Because we've had Richard Kroon, product owner at Rabobank, and the company's based out of the Netherlands, and he's graciously volunteered to share his experience of Skyline with us. Richard, it's a pleasure having you here today, our friend.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you.
Most definitely. And of course, in addition to Richard, no webinar would be complete without Sun Nguyen, Michelle Clopton, and Daniela Quesada. And they're going to be monitoring our online conversation and helping with some of the Q&A. And so with that said, right, we've got an action-packed agenda today, so in addition to having Richard here, right, we're going to be giving an overview of the service. So if you're not already leveraging, hopefully by the end of the call, after hearing Richard's experience with the service, hopefully that'll pique your interest and you'll install and adopt it on the spot. And for our current customers, we had an update literally just a few days ago, a few business days ago. And so we're going to walk through some of those features before turning it over to Richard. And in the spirit of conversation, right, we did that survey at the beginning. But with that being said, definitely take advantage of Richard being here, right, and ask questions. So make sure that you're using that Q&A option at the bottom of the screen. And if you share your success story, with us, either in chat or if you want to come off mute and share your story today, Michelle and Daniela, they would love to hear from you. As a matter of fact, they've got some cool swag, as you can see here on the screen. So keep that in mind as we go through today's presentation. And so, Richard, before we move into the interview, I'd like to give a quick overview of the service for any of our new customers in today's audience. And I promise I'm going to go really, really quick. So, but while I'm doing this, everyone, again, feel free to type your questions to Richard. So let's put Richard to work, right? And so with that, let's just jump right in and let's talk about the Skyline service itself by answering that provocative question, right? What is Skyline? And so really, to answer that question, right, just got to set some context about the overall support experience that I'm sure that you all can relate to. So bottom line is, as a customer, you're all very familiar with the traditional, that reactive support scenario, right? You experience an issue in your environment, you open up an SR, and then we work with you and we troubleshoot to help you solve that issue. Well, with that being said, right, VMware Skyline is actually sort of the next step in that process. It's actually a proactive support technology, meaning that it can actually help you avoid issues before they happen. So you don't even have the problem in the first place. And the best part about Skyline is that it's available at no additional cost if you have an active production or a premier support contract. And I'm also very happy to say that Skyline is also included with Success 360, as well as our ARIA Universal Suite subscriptions. And Skyline, as you can see, supports all of the products listed here. And as we sort of talk about what Skyline does in terms of its automated detection and proactive remediation, that guidance, right, that really helps strengthen your environment. So with the service, again, you can avoid unplanned downtime and you can reallocate that time to do more meaningful work. And with that being said, right, Skyline also helps resolve existing issues faster. So say, for example, if you didn't take advantage of any of the proactive recommendations that Skyline gave you and you need to react to something, Skyline can actually help you resolve those existing issues faster. So say, for example, right, if you got a case open with us, our tech support engineers can use Skyline to view your environment specific configurations, right? And then at that point, they can actually use data-driven analytics to ultimately speed discovery, right? And drive those faster resolution times. And so net, the bottom line, the business value, right, is that Skyline helps you get proactive so you can stay productive, quite frankly. And when it comes to, speaking of benefits, right, these capabilities are really sort of driving value to customers like yourself. We're hearing from customers just like you and Richard, that Skyline is helping them avoid constantly being in firefighting mode, right? Our customers are reducing very costly downtime, which quite frankly is often caused by misconfigs. And the increased network reliability that Skyline provides actually translates into less time fixing errors. And as you can see here, and thanks Michelle for these stats here, a recent industry report, shows that 1 hour, 1 hour of downtime for an enterprise can average a lot of money, anywhere from $1 to $5 million. But companies who are strategically making the decision, right, to take a more proactive approach to support, they're significantly reducing that unplanned downtime. And so we're talking about hundreds of hours. And so to date, right, Skyline has helped over 14,000 plus customers identify nearly 170 million objects in their environments that have potential issues. And our customers have proactively resolved more than 70% of those on their own. And then, like I said, when it comes to that point where you need to react to an issue, we have a very, very popular tool known as Log Assist, which is actually 17 times faster than the manual upload and transfer process, right? And that has basically translated into nearly 110,000 hours saved. And so that's, looking at the stats from last year, that's actually a 10% jump over the previous year. So many thanks to our customers who are leveraging that feature and speeding their SLAs with that. And so when it comes to how Skyline works, right? For those of you who are new to the service and you're really just trying to understand what's happening underneath the hood. So at a high level, you install and you configure a lightweight appliance called the Skyline Collector into your environment. And the process is fairly straightforward. It takes anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes to complete. But once that collector is installed and configured to your endpoints, it actually starts to listen, to start collecting product usage data. It starts to capture patterns, events, trends, anything from configurations to even design compliance, right? And also cross-product information because of the endpoints. And then based off of this, right, Skyline performs a comprehensive analysis, and then it reports it back in terms of this web-based portal. And so we're going to be talking about this. We're going to be showing a lot of this. And of course, Richard's going to be talking about it as well. And whenever we talk about the collector and the listening and the analysis portion of it, inevitably questions around security come up. So let's just jump into it, right? So at a high level, when you activate Skyline, you consent to participate in VMware's Enhanced Customer Experience Improvement Program. That's a lot of words, so I'm just going to call it CEIP from this point forward. But what that basically does is that it allows VMware to collect configuration, feature usage, and performance data, as well as information to sort of help improve and drive the product itself. And then with that being said, I should also point out that data that we collect is actually transmitted to VMware using TLS 1.2 encryption protocols, and that product usage data is sent to our storage platform, and it is encrypted in both transit and at rest. I should also point out that all data is tagged with legally identifiable customer information. And even that access is actually limited. So you have to be a VMware employee, obviously, but you also have to be in support and management. But it doesn't stop there. You also have to undergo training as well as receive manager approval. So, so hopefully that sets your mind at ease in terms of the access to the data. And speaking of that, no personally identifiable information, that PI is collected as well. And we also get the question around SOC 2 compliance, and Skyline is SOC 2 compliant. And if you want to read more about our data privacy and security policies, we've got some great resources here that we can make available at the end of the webinar as well. So be on the lookout for those links. And so, like I said, last week, we had a release. And so I'm going to give a quick overview so that we can see all the great features that sort of popped out. So let's just jump right into that. So, all right, so for the first one, right, we included ARIA rebranding. And so, as you know, VMware rebranded all of our vRealize products to ARIA in late 2022. And so this Skyline release reflects that new ARIA name to align with the updated branding. And you'll also notice that vRealize names have been changed to ARIA throughout the whole Skyline UI. We've also included automated endpoint detection for ARIA operations for logs, right? And so basically what that means is that the automated endpoint discovery detects and recommends that you configure ARIA operations for logs endpoints in your environment if they're not already configured. And then finally, one of my favorite features here is that we've added a resource center. And so this resource center, it's in the lower right corner of your screen. And basically what this tool does is that it allows you to sort of stay on top of new features. You can learn essential ones with guided walkthroughs, and it will even notify you of learning events like today's webinars or VMUGs or UserCons, and of course, VMware Explorer, right? And so, like I said, it's located on the upper or lower right corner of your screen. And so whenever you see a new notification, you're going to see a little yellow light. So you can click on that and you can see what's new, whether it's features, walkthroughs, or even webinars and things along those lines. Sonny, I know that this is a particularly special project to use. Anything additional you want to add here?
No, you've got a spot on. So usually, folks, you'll see maybe 2 to 3 items per month, but we find that those are the kind of essential stuff that is valuable to you. That's why we present it to you that way.
Thanks, Sonny. And with that, right, let's just move to the star of the show. We've got Richard Kroon of Rabobank. So with that, I want to just give a little bit of information about Rabobank, right? So it was founded in 1895, and it's a cooperative bank with a mission. It operates in 38 countries with over 43,000 employees. And together with their stakeholders, they've been dedicated to creating future-proof, a future-proof society, if you will, in tackling major societal issues and challenges for the last 125 years. So in the Netherlands, they serve retail and corporate clients, but globally, they focus on food and the architecture sector. And with that, I want to officially welcome you, Richard. So with that, can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and your background?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah, my background, I'm started in the Rabobank 15 years ago almost. And the moment I joined Rabobank, we were already using VMware as a virtualization layer. Those days, we had many physical machines, but we did a big migration. And yeah, that also is maybe in the next slide already. We started with VCF, VMware Cloud Foundation also 2 years ago. And yeah, with the implementation, we also started using Skyline. So hopefully I can share my what our experience of Skyline during this interview.
Most definitely. So let's just jump right into it, right? And so
Yeah.
Can you give us a snapshot of your environment, including Skyline?
Yeah, yeah, you have the next slide for me, I think. Yes, great, because then I can talk about it. So, yeah, already mentioned 3 years ago, we had vSphere 6 environment based on traditional infrastructure, traditional network, and we started with the implementation of VCF, VMware Cloud Foundation. That was is based on HP Synergy hardware. And on top of that, we created the SDI management environment existing of vSAN, NSXT, and vSphere 7. To manage the environment, we installed, and I saw the rebranding. Sorry for that. It's still vRealize in my slides, so I will change that. It's ARIA now, but we use Lifecycle Manager, of course, Log Insight for sending all our logs from all the VMware products also to Sentinel to do security monitoring. For vRealize operations, we also use that to manage the environment, manage the VMs for our customers, and Network Insight also to analyze the network traffic for application segmentation in combination with NSXT. So that's more the management layer, and also the vRealize automation, the orchestrator and VIDM. That is used for, in our case, for the deployment of new VMs, new virtual machines, to manage them, add CPUs, but also for the decommissioning workflow. That really helps us. And yeah, that's all done on a VCF workload domain for the customers. We're in a transition, so currently we have 10,000 VMs running in the data centers over here in the Netherlands. We are moving the last VMs as well. So in the end of this year, we will have 18,000 VMs. Yeah, and then you also see in the right corner VMware Skyline.
I see it. Yes.
Yes. And it's on purpose over there because I believe it's also covering all the products, almost all the products on this list. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have that comprehensive view. You have that comprehensive view of everything through Skyline.
Yeah.
That single pane of glass. Most definitely. Yes. And so that's awesome. And so, with that, right, I think you've already touched base on it. So I'm just let me just build this out really quickly here. So I think you've already sort of touched base on, why you start using Skyline and how you're using it.
Yeah.
You can also speak about your usage over time, as well as, the most powerful or the most compelling reason that a customer who has not adopted Skyline should think about it.
Yeah, so in a bank, you have many processes. You have vulnerability management as a process. So you have tooling for that. And also the tooling is supporting all these processes. And for me as a product owner of the environment, you already mentioned that. I want that single pane of glass to see if we are in control. And the moment we started with Skyline, we had a new environment. So in a new environment, you don't have many findings, and that helps. But what we also did, we installed the complete VCF stack also in Asia, in Australia, North America, South America. And what we see over there during the implementation, that was not done fast. So what it also showed us, because we combined the environment in the regions to our one Skyline environment, to see that they are not in control yet. So with their findings. Has your usage changed over time? For my own environment that we manage, we stayed in control, also by doing monthly checks. So what we do, we work via one backlog, also based on Scrum. That helps us, DevOps way of working. And on a monthly basis, we execute an activity that is analyze the Skyline findings.
Right.
And we do that, and during the handling of those items, we solve them, or we say, okay, this is not applicable for our environment because
You hide it.
we have a valid we hide it.
Right.
But then also in the monthly check, we also analyze, are those hidden findings still valid? Maybe something in our way of working or in our environment changed, and it's not applicable anymore, and we have to unhide the finding.
Right. And so I know that you talked about the hiding of the findings, and that's something that a lot of customers really, really like about Skyline. And I also noticed that within our earlier conversations, you were talking about how you like to use Skyline upgrade recommendations for verification on any of the findings and things like that. Can you speak on that?
Yeah, so as a team, the moment we started, we implemented the risk and control framework for that. And we do these checks on a monthly basis. And it's also for validation that we can validate, okay, the latest update, do we have installed that one? And you can drill down via the inventory. So for me as a product owner, it's really simple to go to that. Of course, many of my team members, they go to VROps for more details, but for having the single pane of glass, this really helps. And also, of course, for my team members. But yeah, in the end, this really helps.
And so for those of you who have not seen the features, the upgrade recommendation, again, thanks for bringing it up, but it's like you said, it's a great way to sort of resolve a dozen of potential issues at once, right? And so whenever you go to upgrade recommendations, you're going to see all of your upgrades sorted by the vCenter server. And if you expand one of these, you're going to see how many issues that can be resolved. And even if there's any interoperability issues to even consider, right? So we've got a scenario here where if we were to upgrade from 6.7 to 6.7 U3, it's going to resolve 73 findings. But on top of that, as you can see, Skyline will also let us know if there's any endpoints that are incompatible, so that interoperability piece. And so going back to what Richard was saying about that extra set of eyes, that validation, this is something that Skyline will allow you to have in terms of just making sure that you're in control. And so I just wanted to make sure that customers saw this. And Richard, is there anything you wanted to add on top of this?
Yeah, because this is very important in our environment. We use serialized automation for the deployment of machines. And when the products are not on the same level of the versions, we have issues because we built our code based on the specific version of the product. And when the regions, in our case, are not updating within the 1 week timeline, we already can foresee issues. And it's all about prevention.
Getting on top of it, staying proactive and being preventative. I like that.
Exactly.
And so with that, let's talk about, the current state of things. Obviously, the last couple of years have been very challenging for everyone. And just like to get some insight into how Rabobank has adapted and maintained, its business resiliency. And if so, can you talk about the role that Skyline played in those efforts?
Yes, as a bank, 24/7 availability is
Yes.
very, very important.
Right.
Of course, bad news is also news, but in this way, if you are not available, then you have issues. So for me as a product owner, it's the most important one, continuity. And showing and with the advisor also of Skyline, for example, and I know our Thomas, I saw him also in the chat, so he's also here, he can confirm. When there is an issue, you get an email also from Skyline or from your Tom. And so most of the times the automation is quicker than a person, of course. So then we already know that there's an issue and then we are on top of it. So the email functionality in Skyline, that really helps. And
That's great. That's great. And so I know on top of that, you talked about the whole idea of compliancy, you talked about the internal audits and the updates. And so it's good to sort of see how Skyline is helping you with all of those very, very essential workflows that part of your your life, your day-to-day life. So it's
Yeah.
good to see that Skyline's helping you with that.
Yeah,
And
not only me, maybe also to add, the TAM also uses the
yes,
information to
this is
share
true.
our management.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, this is
that
very, very
helps.
true. And so with that, earlier, I gave everybody sort of like a quick overview of the service, right? But with that being said, can you just sort of just give everyone here, your impression of the service as a whole? What's your favorite feature?
Yeah, for me, it starts with the main dashboard, because then I have
Yeah.
the dashboard where it's all in.
Yep.
Yeah, then the inventory, I can drill down. I can see
Yeah.
also lifecycle management. So the end of support date, also very helpful to show the internal audit that we are in control of LCM. Yeah, findings and recommendations. And then also one view of all the use case support cases. That
Oh
also
yeah,
helps.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. So basically, you love everything about Skyline. Is it?
Yeah, we are not using all of it, but for example, in our case, we don't use the API integration because we use it differently. We use it in different processes. But if that was the case, we also used it. Yeah.
You got to get with Sonny. Sonny can help you with that. He can help you with that.
Yeah.
He's great with that. So, but yeah, we'll take that conversation offline.
Yes. Yes.
And so, speaking of the operational overview, right? You talked about it. You want to expand on that a little bit more in terms of the different critical areas and the inventory and all that type of things? I know you are using it for like visibility in different regions, but is there anything additional you'd like to add here?
Yeah, just a quick overview of the complete environment. So that really helps. Just some numbers also. Yeah.
So,
For us here in the Netherlands, we have HP Synergy as hardware, and in Australia we have a Dell hardware over there models. Yeah, we see the numbers over here, and
you
I
see the
don't use this.
numbers.
You see the numbers, and of course it's not needed for daily basis, but on monthly basis you can verify the numbers, the BIOS versions. Yeah. And in
Yeah,
our
this
case, the EXSI versions are almost at the same level, and that also helps. Because,
right.
yeah, I want them on the same level as much as possible.
So, it's funny that you mentioned that because, like you said, when you see these numbers and you know them to be an exact match to what you know about your environment, again, I think that what this tool does, it actually sort of increases, your confidence, right, in terms of what Skyline is recommending, because when you see all of your endpoints and they're connected and you see the different VMs and the BIOS numbers, it just gives you that extra level of confidence. And then when you got the configuration summaries, the pie charts, like you said, there's a lot of data that Skyline's providing. It gives you insight, quite frankly, to give you and everybody in your team the ability to do their job effectively, right? And so, so if you're using Skyline NetNet, make sure that all of your endpoints are connected, because it's really the best way to ensure that you're getting the most comprehensive recommendations to keep your environment safe.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now we're getting ready to get into the good stuff, because I know you want to talk about the remediation and things like that. So let's talk about it. So how do you develop and implement your remediation plans?
Yeah, I already mentioned. So
The TAMs, yeah.
Yeah, but also the monthly checks that we do for ourselves. And based on the findings, and yes, in the beginning we had more than we have now, because now it's in control. So there are not many new findings that we have, but if they are, yeah, we implement those based if it's needed. Yeah.
And I know that you said earlier that you're leveraging your TAMs and you're reporting back to management monthly. And so with that said, let's sort of just have everyone sort of take a look at the TAM health check. And so what you're basically saying here is basically it's a report that basically examines, the infrastructure of your environment, right? TAMs are working with people like Richard to validate technical consistency, right? They're examining best practices, they're identifying areas where potential system degradation or bottlenecks can affect system health, right? And so this tool that the TAMs are using with customers like Richard, it identifies gaps in current practices and even areas of concern, right? And so this report provides remediation just based off of just best practices, right? And so what you're seeing here is that it's a TAM, they're working with it, they're generating this report, they're generating actionable recommendations. Again, that's based off of Skyline's proactive findings. And then they're using this to create this report, and they're delivering it to customers just like Richard. And one of the things that's new that I forgot to mention earlier is that the data retention policy has been now extended to 60 months as well. So this is a great way to sort of go back and see historical trends and things along those lines as well. And Richard, is there anything else now that you've seen this live that you want to speak on? Anything jumping out at you here?
Yeah, and yeah, that's more how we work as a team. We work
Yep.
proactive. So what we
Yep.
normally don't see over here are many remediation things. So yeah, it's just the confirmation that we receive from
Yeah.
this kind of reports that we
Yeah.
are in control. Yeah.
And that is a good thing. And so speaking of control, and you talked about this earlier about the log assist and being able to see the open logs. And so tell us a little bit about your experience with log assist. I mean, obviously, you've been in the industry for a while and you've done the traditional, the manual upload process and things like that. So what are your thoughts on this and the single point of glass and being able to generate all these different endpoints from one location as opposed to going to these different areas?
Yeah, this is really easy to use this. This is really helpful. Yeah, what we normally had, of course, via your workplace, then you have to upload something and then the internet connection is really, really slow. Then there was an issue, you have to redo it again. And in this way, via Skyline, you easily, because the support engineer, he does the request, you confirm it, and then, yeah, here you go. How easy. Yeah, it's really helpful. And then, yeah, we don't use it much because we have some support cases.
This is
not
good.
Related.
This is good because
But
you're
if we
being
have to use it-
proactive, right? Yeah, so this is a good thing. Yeah, this is a good thing. So, but for those of you who don't act on Skyline's findings and recommendations, and you find yourself in a situation where you need to react and use log assist, let's just take a look at this workflow in action here. So basically what happens at a high level is that if you're a customer, right, you can use Skyline's log assist to basically create a log bundle by associating it with an SR. You simply go to your inventory and you just basically expand and figure out exactly where you want to generate your bundles from, and then you simply initiate the log transfer. As simple as that. 2 steps, you're done. And to what Richard said earlier, you can also have your GSS partner request, as well as give them the ability to automatically pull them with the auto approve feature here. So you have the ability to either reject or approve it based off of your level of policy. And then to what Richard was also saying earlier, you see a log library, a running list of who has created or requested logs at any time. And so it's a great way, again, to create an SR, generate a log bundle, associate with that SR, find the log bundle all within your single environment, associate it, click send, you're done. Less than 60 seconds. It's boom, boom, boom. Anything else here, Richard?
Yeah, very, very useful. Just an example, one of my colleagues asked something about VIDM. We had an issue. I could easily show him. We already did create a support case yesterday. So you go to log library and there you go. So yeah, very helpful.
Perfect. Good deal. Good deal. And there's a log library again. You can see not only people from within your organization, but people outside of the organization, specifically our GSS team, our VMware team that can also request those bundles as well. And so with that, right, everyone always asks, well, okay, you've done this, you've got the remediation, you've got the TAM reports, you're saving time on log assist. There's that quantification piece, right? Do you quantify in terms of metrics, in terms of like percentages, money saved, or is it just a reduction in SRs? How do you quantify the benefits that Skyline's providing?
Yeah, we have an internal audit running at the moment, and during those interviews I had with the colleagues of audit, many times referred to Skyline, that how it helps me. And yeah, so how do you quantify? Yeah, for me, living without it, okay, that's maybe a little bit too high, but it really helps me in my way of working, and also for the team. Yeah.
So I quantify it by saying I can get 3 extra hours of sleep every night, but that's just me.
I
But
don't like
yeah,
to sleep, but no.
good deal, good deal. And so with that, right, let's talk about the single pane of glass. You've mentioned it a few times, so I just feel like it's only right to give everybody an experience of what this looks like, right? So basically what happens, everyone, is that when you log into Skyline, if you're not already using the service, right, you're initially greeted with this dashboard, right? It's you can kind of consider it mission control, right? It's everything that you expect to see at your fingertips, right? And so going from left to right, you're going to see your account type, your ID, your contract number for your organization. You're going to see all of your findings, and they're going to be broken down by severity, whether it's critical, trivial, and even moderate. You're even going to see historical trends, right? So you're going to see activity over the last 7 days, things that could have potentially remediated issues, or perhaps you did something and you created some new findings and things along those lines. So it's a great way to sort of see your environment and the change over the last 7 days. You also see the total number of collectors that are registered with the organization. And to the point that Richard was making earlier, you can also see the number of open support requests. So this shows the total number of open support requests for the logged in user. And if you're an admin, you have the ability to see all of the open support requests, as well as those that are active as well. The operational overview, we sort of talked about this really, really quickly, but what this does essentially is that it gives everyone a summary of all the products that's added to the Skyline, and you see things like we just saw, the configurations, cluster configurations, host configurations, and even VMs as well. And then to the point that Richard was saying earlier, the inventory, right? It shows all of your connected endpoints. It shows the last analysis in terms of a date stamp, and then of course the notifications. And so, as Richard was saying, you get notified if things are ending general support or technical guidance, and as well as the state of your collector health if it's no longer healthy and things along those lines. And Rich, I'm going to give you an opportunity to speak on this. I know that you're a big fan of the single pane of glass.
Yeah, it happens sometimes that the collector is unhealthy, and yeah, then you can also see on this main page which one it is. Sometimes there's a valid reason, of course, but you can act on it. Yeah, and you already said it. Complete overview of all the steering information. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here, and I think this is perfect timing here. So, any parting advice for our audience here? Any best practices or tips and tricks that you would give anyone in the audience today who's interested in using Skyline?
Yeah, then I would say embed it in your day-to-day work. Then it really helps you, and stay in control. That would be my my tip and trick. Yeah,
most definitely. And so with that, that concludes our session. We hope you found it informative. And if you're not already using Skyline, we encourage you to adopt on the spot and start using it today. All you have to do is just go to the Getting Started link and install Skyline. And we even have ways to test drive the service. And so if you're not completely sold by Richard's compelling experience, you can also test it in a hands on lab environment. It's our sandbox environment, so you can sort of drive through and test drive a lot of the features. And then you can also visit a lot of these URLs here that has great information such as FAQs. We've got a YouTube channel that has all the tips and tricks videos. So you can go there, you can see great content there. There's even blogs and even our social presence on LinkedIn and Twitter, as well as our online community. So make sure that you're checking out all of these links and taking advantage of it. And also, if you're already using Skyline, make sure you're using that resource guide in the lower right-hand corner, because you're going to be able to see content immediately as it becomes available appear right there as well. And In terms of other additional resources, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the Skyline Task Force. So the Skyline Task Force is a team that consists of internal subject matter experts, right? And what they do, they actually host free Skyline workshops remotely for anybody who's interested in using the service, or if they're already even using it for that matter. So make sure that you're leveraging the task force. For those of you who are looking to build your skills and show your love for Skyline, we've got a certification badge, and it's a free course that actually sort of just shows that you know what you're doing when it comes to supporting and managing and planning your environments with Skyline. And then last but not least, and this is something that Richard promised me that he's going to jump on immediately after this call, is that he's going to go and he's going to start playing with the Skyline Automation Toolkit, which is our API tool. And so make sure that you're checking that out, because you can do a lot of great things with it, like create tickets and PagerDuty, ServiceNow. There's a lot of great things that you can do with it in terms of just automating a lot of Skyline's proactive findings as well. And Sunny, I know that this is something that you are also very, very passionate about. Is there something you'd like to add here?
Definitely. I was going to say that, as you're kicking the tires, if you have questions, we know the guy that helped wrote it. So, we can definitely streamline anything. Okay.
And that guy being Sunny, by the way. So Sunny's very, very humble. So with that, want to say thank you for attending today's webinar. Oh, I'm sorry.
So before we close out, there is a question that's in the Q&A, and I'd love to answer that. Duke asked, all right, so within the dashboard, how do you add endpoints, to your environment? Unfortunately, in the dashboard in Advisor Pro, you cannot. But what you can do is when you deploy the collector in your environment, that's the GUI that you go to add your endpoints, your vCenter, your VROPs, your login site, you name it, all the products that we support, that's where you add it in.
Yep. I see another question just popped up as well.
Let's see.
Oh, didn't know about Skyline Advisor Pro. We'll be working on this soon. Smiley face. Awesome. Thanks, Steve, for that.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. And with that, Sunny, I don't see any other questions in the queue. Do you?
I did not. All
right.
Yep.
All right. And so with that, with 60 seconds to spare, we bid you adieu. We hope you found this webinar informative, and we look forward to seeing you in our next one next month. So till then.
Richard, thank you very much for all your input. It is great. This time around, I noticed a lot of folks were chatting, a lot of input. So that's great. Thank you, everyone.
See you, everyone.